I made a playlist for Grayson, and he disappointed me so much about this book. Welcome back to another video, wrap-up video. This time I'm going to do a face mask, so I'm going to put this on, and then I'm going to dive into the books I read in May, June, and July. I'm getting really sick and tired of this. We're gonna start off with May. I began the month with The Bell Jar. From what I remember, I don't remember much from reading The Bell Jar. This was like a couple months ago, you know. I rated The Bell Jar a 4-star read. Not really sure why. I think I should reread it because I didn't even leave a review on it. But I gave The Bell Jar a 4-star read, and I don't remember why. It's actually okay. Next, I listened to the audiobook of The Highly Sensitive Person's Guide to Dealing with Toxic People. I read this book because I'm a pretty sensitive person, and I think one of the big things that I took away from this was, anyone would tell you if you're in a toxic situation to leave that person, but like, it's pretty difficult to do that, you know? I gave that also a 4-star. You know, I'm gonna give that a 2-star now, because I don't remember much from that anyway. And then I read Manners, a Modern Field Guide. I actually read this book, and I had really fun reading it. One thing that I remember, and this wasn't even part of the book, this was part of, like, the introduction. Like, this was written by 2 people, right? One of the things was that if I treated you nicely and you treated me like a little B-word, then I'm not the problem, you are. And I really like that part. But yeah, other than that, another thing, it was like, don't salt your food if you're eating at like a friend's place. Don't put salt on your food until after you tasted it, because that's pretty like rude. Okay, I keep touching this because it keeps going down. Okay, I listened to the Dune audiobook. I was actually listening to this in like, I think May or something, but then I had to return it because I didn't finish it in time. So then I listened to it again, and I really liked it. I might watch the movie. Maybe I'll dive into the series some point. I gave Dune a 3-star rating. And then I read The Henna Wars. So this is a little lesbian people of color book that takes place in like Ireland? I'm not sure. It's someplace in Europe, right? So the main character, okay, I remember this really well because I really liked it. I gave it a 4-star. The main character, I really relate to her, you know, I really relate to her. One, she comes out to her brown parents that she's lesbian, and they basically just shrug it off and say that it's a phase, you know? And so she meets this one girl. Where is she from? I don't even remember where the main character is from. She's doing henna. Me personally, I like calling it mendi, but like the Arabic word for mendi is henna, and then the Hindi word for henna is mendi. I grew up with mendi, so that's what I call it. Main character, basically, she's in business school and she wants to make like this henna business, and the girl she likes is the cousin of this one girl who she used to be friends with, except she told a rumor about how the main character's whole family smelled bad because of their food or something. It's pretty sad. It made me kind of weep a few tears. Her crush doesn't know about this, so her crush starts this henna business, and the person who doesn't like the main character, you know, does all of these weird schemes. They celebrate like a traditional holiday that is usually celebrated, I think, around March, and they celebrated this just to like gain more attention, and it's pretty cute. It definitely goes against traditional values of brown parents. Usually that's not the type of thing they want to deal with. I gave that a 4-star read. I definitely recommend. I listened to the audiobook of 1984 by George Orwell. I read the book like 2 years ago during quarantine. To be honest, I only remember the part where they did it like in public behind a bush, and the parts where they were like being taken away by the party members. I gave that rating a 5-star rating. I want to get my own copy of it, honestly. And then I read the Heartstopper yearbook. It's basically the Heartstopper yearbook. I love the Heartstopper series. I'm watching the 2nd season. It's the 2nd season of the series on Netflix right now. Every time I see a couple, I kind of cringe because I'm jealous you know? I mean, envious or whatever. And then I read I'm Glad My Mom Died. I think I watched like a video essay on this before, but I never finished it, so I kind of knew what was happening. But one of the weirdest things, well, her mom did a lot of weird things. She was in denial for a while because I know she had like Jennette McCurdy. She went to a therapist, and the therapist basically told her that her mom was a problem. Jennette McCurdy fired that person. There's some points off this. Her mother still bathed her until like the age of 16. Her mom was an almond mom, so you know she was not that good. She ran around with a knife chasing Jennette's dad, except he wasn't her dad. She had 2 older brothers, I think. I gave that book a 5-star. And then I read Ignite Me. Oh my. I literally fell in love with Aaron Warner so many times during this book. The part where he was like, is Adam really that special? And then Juliet basically tells him that it's only because he treated her like he was special. Okay, this is the book where everyone, all of the readers, all of the Shatter Me fans find out that Aaron Warner benches 315 pounds. 315 pounds is 3 of me, basically. In gray sweatpants. And then I read Bloom Into You, Volume 1. To all of the manga readers out there, I hope you know that I chose this book solely on what I was lacking in my life. I gave that a 2-star read, though. I'm not really a manga fan. Manga, actually, it depends on what kind of manga I'm reading. Because this was romance. I'm not really into the manga romance ones. And then I listened to the audiobook of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I gave it that 3 stars. I think this was like the most down-to-earth audiobook I've ever listened to. If you don't give a fuck about a lot of things, you are literally so free to do things. You know, like you would be literally living your life if you just did not give a fuck. Like me recording this right now, I literally do not give a fuck if someone were to judge me for this. Because I'm going to continue filming this, I'm going to edit this, and then I'm going to upload it onto the World Wide Web. And I'm not going to give a fuck. I don't know how many times I said the F word, but I'm probably gonna blur it out because I'm not allowed to say that word actually. That started in June. We're in June already. As I was saying before, it depends on the type of manga I'm reading. I read Tomie, right? She is such a girl boss. Gave that a 5 out of 5. I was gonna do like a little deep analysis episode on this. I haven't gotten around to that yet. But Tomie, she is this demon or something, and you can never kill her, and every male that falls in love with her will confess his love, even if there's like another woman in his life. He will confess his love to Tomie, and sooner or later he will want to murder her because he's so in love with her. And this has happened on literally all of the stories. There's like a hospital chapter. Well, some of them aren't revolved around Tomie and like these random love interests. Like there's this one chapter where Tomie's a baby and she like literally freaks out this babysitter into killing her. Well, she gets murdered in literally every story, but yeah. Okay, and then I saw this video essay about how living like Frog and Toad is like so cool and whatever, and how everyone relates to Toad because he's usually always procrastinating, he's always being negative, and then how Frog is the total opposite of that, but they're still friends. Something about Frog and Toad being more than just friends as well, because the author was gay or something. I don't know, that was what the video was about. So then I read Frog and Toad Together. I grew up on reading some of these books, and I gave this a 5-star read, obviously, because it brought back memories. I read it in one reading. Amazing. I mean, in one setting. It was amazing. And then I'm not a manga reader, so I just searched up the best mangas to read. I read The Demon Princess of Momochi House. So this girl, I think she moves into this house or something, and then there's like these people, and then there's like a fight. I'm giving that a 1-star read. I just changed my rating from a 3 to 1 because I don't remember. And then I read 50 Shades Darker, the second book in the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. I like reading the series just for the laughs. It's not because I find it like, it's not like it's what interests me in like the way that it's supposed to. I gave this a 1-star read. And in the last book, Christian and Anna, they break apart and they get back together in this book. And Christian's psychotic ex-girlfriend and the person who sexually abused him comes back, and Anna's like the victim of it all, honestly. And then I reread The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I have reasons on why I read all of these books, and that's amazing. I was on Pinterest, and there was this one Pinterest thread thing that said that was about how Carden literally wrote Jude letters, and how Carden, like in the second book, because on the second book he pretends that Jude isn't like his freaking love of his life or something, and how he bans her back to the human realm. And all of this sweet BS about how Carden is always smiling around Jude and all that. I have notes on that, so I will be filming a deep analysis episode on that someday. Like, they're very in-depth details of the Cruel Prince. So I rated that 4 out of 5 stars this time. And then I listened to the audiobook of Every City is Every Other City. I'm really getting into, like, different genres of books, because usually I just tend to go into classical books, contemporary, and romance books. Those are and fantasy books. Those are the 4 genres that I'm really into. I'm not really into horror or thriller. Or comedy. Sometimes those are pretty cringe and they have no depth. Every City is Every Other. So this woman or freaking niece or some person comes to this detective and is like, my husband is dead and everyone's saying that he committed suicide, but I don't believe that. So this dude goes on this whole adventure. He finds this woman and he starts dating her and all that, and they kind of like solve the mystery together, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I would literally just be on my break at work and I'd be listening to how this guy finds a dude hanging in a tree. I know that's kind of a dark topic, but I would just be gazing, because from where I work, you can perfectly see one of the highways. It runs through the town I live in, and I could just like be car watching and listening about a murder. And then I read the second book in the Magisterium series called The Copper Gauntlet. In this book, the main character's father is pretty silly. So him and 2 of his other friends, they literally run off to find something, and they have this all huge fight. I feel like every single book that has a magic school system reminds me of Harry Potter. And the fact that the main character has a guy friend and a girl best friend doesn't even make it any better, because that's exactly what Harry Potter has. And he also has a guy that's like his enemy. Then the last book, I listened to Dracula, and I listened to the audiobook of this. So before every single like classical book, people like have different introductions for it. So I basically have the entire summary in my head, just not like details of it. I gave that a 3 out of 5. Okay, now we are going into July, our last month. I began the month off with a sob toxic love story. I'm saying it's toxic because obviously Alex Volkov isn't like, the best, as I've stated before in my vlog. So number 1, Twisted Love. I started reading this book a year ago last year, and then I dropped it and I just reread it, and I finished it in like 3 days. But I remember all of their names. So Ava, her brother, I don't remember his name. Her brother is moving away and he wants his friend Alex Volkov, that's not even his real name, he wants Alex to look after her because he's moving away to do like this volunteer thing, and they basically fall in love. It's the brother's best friend story, except Alex has like these rules because he's just so cold-hearted. He has a bad past, and Ava is like, I don't care, and they end up like being boyfriend and girlfriend. And there's this part where Alex's uncle is like a really mean person or something, so they have like a fallout. Alex breaks her heart, and then he follows her to another city in Europe or something, and he literally waits an entire year for her, and then he starts singing, and apparently that's amazing. And now that I think about it, I'm changing my rating from a 4-star to a 3-star. She's like a photographer. She has like this art show, right? He starts singing, and then all of a sudden they make up. They literally make up. Like, they make up that way in public like that. 3-star read now. Maybe it's going to be a 2-star if I ever decide to reread it. I don't know. And then I read Addicted to You. This is also getting a 3-star read because number 1, it was kind of ridiculous how the main character left during one of her sister's biggest things to do it in a car. Me personally, I would never do something like that, but I would never judge someone's addictions, even though this addiction seems kind of ridiculous, which is probably a good thing because it's fiction. But I assume there are some unfortunate people with an addiction like this, and my things fall. Okay, I'm just gonna remove it. Okay, that looks bad. To those unfortunate out there, I'm not judging. I don't do that here. And then I read the book Thief. This made me sob so much. The way it was written, I didn't know that the narrator was deaf. So every time he was like, and then I saw that person later, I was assuming that he was just like a random stalker or something, but he was deaf. Yeah, I gave that a 5-star. I literally read the bad reviews on this and I was defending it with like every single thing. Someone said the main character had no personality. Who cares? Who the hell cares? You know, I highly recommend reading this book. It is kind of formatted differently from a usual type of book if you usually just read romance, fantasy, classical books, but it's worth it. Okay, and then I listened to the audiobook of Becoming, and I actually learned a lot from this. I did not know that Barack and Michelle were both lawyers. I did not know that, but I gave this a 4 out of 5. It was narrated by Michelle Obama as well, so that was pretty fun. Then the next book I read was Throne of Glass. I have my first episode of Deep Analysis is on this book, and I'm probably gonna continue that someday. It was interesting. I feel like I'm on the bodyguard X villain. Assassin thing right now. I feel like it'll change to the prince soon enough, but the prince is more like a friend because the captain of the guard basically killed a person for her, so I don't know. And then I read The Holiday Trap. This had everything in a book that I hated about a book, because when I read a book, I expect to not hear about social media or to hear about what's happening, what's trending on Twitter or on TikTok. This book, for one thing, it moved really quickly because there was 2 couples for this. One couple, it moved way too quickly. The second couple, it was probably at a good pace, but they definitely had some communication issues, which I had a problem with that. But it's basically about this guy and this lady. Right? The guy is gay, the girl is lesbian. They both come into dilemmas in where they live, so they decide to switch their houses. You know, very smart for people to trust another person over that. And the only way they know each other is their mutual friend named Ramona. So they switch just like that, and by the end of the book, they want to live in the other person's house because of the person that they met. So there's that. And then I read Unite Me, which is Destroy Me and Fracture Me Together. And I was supposed to read this before Unravel Me and Ignite Me. Well, the 2 books before each of those. But I didn't do that. And then I gave this a 4-star rating. Not really sure why, but yeah, Aaron Warner's point of view and Adam's, I don't even know his last name, point of view. Pretty cool, I guess. And then I read Pure Essie. I actually really like this book. I was reading this book when I was at work. I do recommend. I want to get my own copy of this. I gave it a 4 out of 5. So there's this house, right? And there's this main character. His name isn't actually Piranesi. And the whole world is actually just like this house. And there's so many vegetables and all of these doors and these statues. And there's like betrayal and all that. And there's this dude called The Other. And the main character slowly starts forgetting about things, but he's like, I have like the greatest memory ever, so I don't know anything about this. And he has all these things. He meets like this woman. There's like 15 or something people, and then the 16th person he thought it was a guy, but it was this woman. And then they had like this whole betrayal thingy. Yeah, it was a pretty good book. And then I read The Final Gambit. This had so much annoying energy. We could post it on my TikTok about this. It was not that good. I gave it a 2 out of 5. Literally, the first 2 books in the series were so good, and this last book, I think it was because I was more attracted to the romance part of this and not the mystery part, but I literally made a playlist for Grayson, and he disappointed me so much about this book. And then I read Happy Hour. It was a book about, like, this girl and, like, her best friend, and how they were living. And they were literally broke, and they had like this dispute and whatever, and they rekindled that. I gave this a 3 out of 5 star. It made me laugh a lot. It's pretty funny. Some cases. In some cases, it made me kind of cringed, you know. And then I listened to The 4-Hour Workweek because there was an audiobook available. I gave this a 2 out of 5 star. Apparently, if a guy reads The 4-Hour Workweek, they're a red flag. This book is literally it's like how to escape the matrix and slack off on your job. Like, one of the biggest points on this book is to ask your boss to work from home. And if that doesn't work, then try to persuade him to work from home anyway. It's like, it doesn't even tell you to have a job that you like doing. It just tells you to work whatever job you want to work, but only work 4 hours or less. And he has this entire thing about how he doesn't read emails and he gets other people to read emails for him and that stuff. Yeah, you're basically hacking through the thing. Okay, and then I read Death's Obsession. Okay, this is a paranormal romance, so a lot of people might think it's toxic, but it's dark paranormal romance. It's supposed to be like that. Have you guys seen that one video of like this guy smacking a I'll just insert it.
I like it. Yes, I agree. Oh, shut up, Louis.
That was the video, right? This book made me giggle so much, but it was so toxic. No, I would never want this for anyone. Like, everyone who's in a healthy, happy relationship, you are so fortunate that this book isn't the type of thing that you're in. But, it's a paranormal romance between a main character called Lilith and Death. And apparently Lilith and Death, they have like this history together. I don't know what the actual history behind that is. It was kind of hinted in this book, but I don't think I paid enough attention to that part. But you know how... Okay, I'm not going to say anything about this, but Death is described as having really pale skin, raven black hair, and like blue eyes. Those kinds of guys are attractive. Like, don't even get me wrong. But yeah, I saw this on TikTok. No, not TikTok. This is actually made for people who are like above the minor age. Do I listen to that kind of stuff? No. Is that a flex? No. Am I saying that you should read this book? Only read it if you're into dark paranormal romance. Do not hate on this because it's not your type of genre. I hate when people do that. I hate when horror fans or like romance readers read like a genre that's totally opposite from what they're usually into, and they don't even have an open mind, and they're like, where's the horror in this, or where's the thrilling part of this book, or where's the love interest part of it? Like, that's not the type of thing, you know. I gave that a 3 out of 5. Number 1, because it made me laugh a couple times. Number 2, because yeah. Next book, the last book I read for Stormy. This was pretty heartbreaking. The last 50 pages was the most heartbreaking thing ever. My heart speaks to Juliet because I hate when people lie to me. I hate it. And the fact that Aaron lied to her about something that he knew for a while, like, excuse me, just because you're Aaron Warner doesn't mean you get to do that. But you get a free pass because you're Aaron Warner. Aaron is like grieving because his father's dead. The love of his life killed his dad. He's rekindling his relationship with Adam. Kenji meets the love of his life. All of the Supreme Commanders are sending their children because they think Juliet is not like worthy enough, but all of them wants to kill her. And Juliet's parents were actually adoptive parents, and her real parents were actually alive, and she has this older sister or something. They kidnap her, and she basically sees all these photos, and her real name is Ella. If you guys didn't know, my nickname for like my family is Ella, so I was like, ooh, me and Juliet are twinning. But yeah, there was so many of these photos of her being like a younger child, and there's photos of her and her sister, and her and Aaron when they were younger. So I'm very excited to read the next book of that. And this is the end of the video. I hope you liked my little wrap-up video with this face mask on. I'm not going to take it off until I'm done filming. But please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Or rewatch it, because I know you guys love me so much. But I'll see you guys later. Goodbye!